And then there is the most overused illustrative tool of them all, PowerPoint. First of all, PowerPoint is not a presentation. No, PowerPoint is an illustrative tool that you can use to color your presentations. Every slide that you use should help your audience to understand and engage in what you are presenting. If not, cut it out. That cute cat is not necessary. Don't write long sentences, because otherwise people will try to read what you have rather than listening to you, and then they'll just get frustrated when you move on. Try to simplify numbers and facts. So rather than saying 24.97% of all aircraft, instead just say a quarter of all planes. Or if it's 4 in every 12 people, well, actually that's a third of all people. And instead of saying 1,23,456 rupees and 78 paisa, just simplify it. It's 1.2 lakh. Stay minimalist. All this rangy-changy, jilly-milly, it is just distracting. And animation should almost never be used. Same goes for transitions as well. Just about, sorry. See, you see all these transitions and flying around. It's kind of fun when you're putting it together, but actually it's just very distracting when you're then trying to watch a presentation or you're trying to listen to somebody. So you have to think about it. Your job is to try and communicate clearly a message. If you do things which distract them from that clear message, you're actually failing. So just about the only time when you can use, when I think that you should use sort of animations, is when you are revealing a list of items. So for example, you might want to talk about point number 1, and it is going to have a number of sub-points. And so this is a good tool for being able to reveal them. You then move on to point number 2, and maybe it also has some sub-items. And point number 3 may also have sub-points. And in this way, you can work your way down a list and help to reveal information. And this does use a little bit of animation, but otherwise, cut the animation out. The size of font is also important. Simplest rule of thumb is if you can step back 3 meters from your computer screen and you can still clearly read the words, you've got it about right. Then when it's projected up onto a wall, or if they're seeing it on their screen, they're going to be able to read it quite clearly. Another thing to try and consider is the environment. When you are projecting onto a computer screen, then actually having a white background with dark text like this, that actually is probably the best. But when you're projecting into a darkened room, if you've got a big white background and dark text on it, like you can see in this picture, it means you, the person who is presenting, you become lost because the illustration, which is the PowerPoint in this case, is so big and bright that it actually distracts people from looking at you. In fact, sometimes it can actually be quite hard to even see the presenter because the presentation, because the PowerPoint illustration is so bright. So when you are presenting in a big room and you're using a projector, I would suggest that you use a black background with white text. Then the white text will stand out but won't dominate the whole scene. But when you're presenting onto a computer screen or something that's being recorded and might be seen on a computer, black text on a white background is probably best. And try to never read the text that is being projected onto the screen, because the audience can always read it faster than you can, because their eyes and brains work faster than your eyes, brains and mouth. To prove this fact, I'm sure most of you got to the end of this point in the typed text long before I did. And try to only have one message per slide. It's much better to have 3 slides than to have one slide with 3 different things on it. And when it's possible, avoid using words. Use pictures instead. I'll give you an example. Maybe you want to talk about leadership. Maybe you want to explain about how leadership is all about inspiring your team, helping them to catch the vision for themselves, helping them to see where they fit in, getting them to clarify the vision for themselves, to articulate a picture of that vision, sharing it with them that it's not going to be all easy, that it's going to take real hard work for us to achieve this together as a team. But together we can do it. We can progress towards the vision. At times we need to really look out for one another. But if we keep committed, we will achieve it. Of course, there needs to be the right resources in place. We're going to have to develop the tools and the capabilities necessary for the job. We have to ensure that our resources are enough before we start. We have to take time to consider the risks and what we can do about them. But if we plan it right, at the other end, we will be able to celebrate, knowing that we have done a really great job, of which we can be properly proud. So come on, team, let's do it. You could do it like that. Or you could do it like this. Remember to inspire your team, develop shared vision, work together, ensure necessary resources are in place, and celebrate afterwards. Come on, which one's more inspiring? Pictures can really help to illustrate your points. Maybe you want to talk about monitoring or watching indicators. Get people to think about it whilst you are talking. You don't have to reference the pictures that are going on. Maybe you want to talk about how a leader is only as capable as the other members of the team that they lead. Maybe you want to present a diagram. Or maybe you've got some sort of chart that you want to present. In which case, make sure that they're simple and that the colours match the organisation's brand. And do you have to use slides? I often will put in a few blank slides just to make sure that the focus comes back to me, because I'm the one who's making the presentation. As I said at the beginning, PowerPoint is not the presentation. PowerPoint are merely illustrations to help you get your point across. Maybe you might like to watch a video by a chap called David Phillips. It's a TED Talk that's called How to Avoid Death by PowerPoint. It's very funny.